All right. Good morning, everybody. Before we get stuck into our webinar topic today, which is the key to success in any market, converting your pipeline, I'll just give everyone a chance to jump in. So we'll just chit chat for a wee while here while everyone is jumping in. So I wanted to let you guys know, we have done a couple of other webinars before today. So we've done 2 previous webinars. Our previous one was the value of working a patch. So in that one, we jumped into why to do it, why it's valuable, but also how to pick a patch. And we really had a good look into the numbers, doing the numbers on different areas, not just jumping for whatever one you live in or whatever one's free in your office, but really having a good look at where can you have the most success. So if you think that'll be of interest, do jump in and have a look at that one. And the one before that as well was the why and how of databasing. So that's where we go over databasing as a whole, have a look at some scripts and dialogues, how to sort of categorize things, that type of thing. Now, if you do want to check those out, you can have a look at them on our Facebook page. So facebook.com/Client Collective or on our website. So if you jump onto our website, which is www.clientcollective.com.au /learn. So there's a learn button there. And in that, we've got a bunch of videos. So we've got our previous webinars, but also a bunch of other tips for agents. So if you are interested, jump in and have a look there. Now, we will just leave it a few more minutes before we jump into our topic for today. Let me have a look here. Beautiful. All right. And I will let you guys know. So any questions throughout, if you do have any questions, do feel free to jump in and write them in the questions and answers section, which is at the bottom of your Zoom account there. There's just a little Q&A button. So you can pop a question in and then I can answer it for you throughout the webinar. We're also recording this one for a podcast as well. So you'll hear me referencing to our podcast listeners too. All right. Let me have a quick look. Beautiful. Everyone's getting in. All right. Give it a couple more minutes. I love to, talk about the weather because why not? I'm up north of Brisbane at Bribie Island and we've been meant to have thunderstorms yesterday and today. And thankfully I was thinking, oh my gosh, I hope they don't happen while I'm trying to do this because it'd be so noisy. And also the internet just doesn't like the rain. But it tailed off. So hallelujah. And I know the rest of the country is having crazy wild weather. So we really can't complain. All right. We will jump straight into it, you guys. I can see we've got a few of you in now. So let's kick off. I'll just share my screen. All right, so as I said, today's webinar topic is the key to success in any market, converting your pipeline. So for me, I work with incredible agents all around Australia and we monitor leads, we monitor conversions and help plug the holes in their businesses. Pipeline is without a doubt, hands down, the main driver to increasing listings. And what I really want to jump into today is how we can do it effectively, because I see so often where we're lapsing and we're just not hitting it, with our pipeline communication. And it's going to be such a game changer for converting more business. So before we jump into that, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Shontelle. I'm the founder and director of Client Collective. So Client Collective is an Australian-based outbound communication call platform for real estate agents. So we look after just listed, just sold calls, your database nurturing calls, pipeline calls, anniversaries, generating appraisals, anything you can think of essentially. And we also look at database efficiency. So making sure your database is running to the best it can so that you're not missing business out of your database. I've been in the industry for over 15 years, licensed agent. For most of that time, I was selling property. So just like you guys. And one thing led to another and I found myself here. Now, last year alone, our team identified over $19 million worth of commission for our clients. So that was leads that actually listed. But today isn't about us. It's not about Client Collective. Today is it's not a sales pitch. It's about helping you guys convert more of your pipeline. So let's jump straight into it. So the key to success in any market, like I say, converting your pipeline. So today, what we want to have a look at is a few things. We want to look, what is a pipeline? How do we nurture it? How to plan your communication and track your success? The 3 points that we need to know out of our pipeline clients, and some key dialogue to nail the communication. So based on over 15 years in the industry and countless meetings with agents on exactly this topic, I really couldn't be more excited to jump into this one today. Pipeline and looking after your pipe is something I'm super interested in and really passionate about. You'll hear me harp on and on about it, but it really is the key to success. So from my experience, the lack of pipeline communication is the number one reason that agents are missing business. And it's not just from the database, it's from everywhere. From your open home opportunities that are identified, from your realestate.com leads that are identified. Looking after them, nurturing them is going to guarantee you or give you much better of a chance of actually listing that business. All right, so let's start with, what is a pipeline? So guys, in a very literal sense, a pipeline is a list of people who we think, for whatever reason, are going to sell their home within the next 0 to 2 year time frame. Now, in this decision timeframe that you can see here, you can see that they're living in their home, not thinking of selling, that green line there. That is the time where they're within our database. So, or that we're in contact with them out in the marketplace. So that could be, we've sold properties for people that have lived in their homes for 70 years. So it could be, the time that they live there can be flexible. But as soon as that client indicates to us that they are thinking of doing something and they might be thinking of coming to market, whether it be in 2 months or, like I say, 2 years, that's when that client becomes a pipeline client. And why that's really important is because as soon as we know that, we want to change our communication. We need to be much more personal with our communication. Depending on the time frame, we're going to ramp it up potentially, and making sure that we're actually really providing information that's of benefit to the client, helping them make their decision to come to market and helping them make the decision to list with you. So like I say, a pipeline is anyone in your marketplace that's thinking of selling a property within the next, say, 0 to 2 year time frame. Now, 2 years, I guess the question is, why would it be so long? And I think some agents would be hesitant to have someone in their pipeline within that time frame. We will talk about time frame a lot more, but the short answer is they might say 2 years, but it doesn't mean it is 2 years. And the other answer is, the longer that we've got communication with them, the more chance that we have of converting the business, because the better we can develop that relationship. So it doesn't mean we're going to call them every day for the next 2 years. Obviously, they're not going to appreciate that. But it does mean that we can really add value to them for a longer period and guarantee us the chance of listing the property. So let's have a look at what we're doing now. And this is something that we see a lot of the time. And, to be honest, I know I've definitely been guilty of it during my time of being a salesperson. So what we do when we're out in the marketplace, we come across a client that's indicated that they are potentially thinking of coming to market. So they might say to us, they're at an open home and they say to us, yeah, we're just having a look today, but we do have to move. We want to move into a bigger property. We're probably not looking for another 6 months or so. So I go, okay, great. I'm going to put them in the diary, give them a call, say about 4 months time, just before they're ready. So we're in ahead of time. We don't want to bug them and call them, before that. So we put it in the calendar. 4 months comes, we do the call. Hey, how are you going? How's everything going with the house? We met at the open home 4 months ago, and you mentioned to me that you'd be looking to come to market around this time. Often what we hear in that conversation is, hey, Shontelle, thanks so much for your call. Actually, I've just listed it with LJ Hooker down the road. Oh, okay. Well, congratulations. All the best. And we leave feeling super frustrated. We did exactly what they said. They said 6 months. Why they listed now? It's only been 4 months. Or maybe instead of that, we go, hey, hi, Jeff, it's Shontelle. Just give me a quick call. You know, we met at the open home a few months ago and just checking in, see how everything's going with the house. Have you found anything you like yet? You know, you mentioned you might be ready about now. Oh, you're still a few months away. Oh, okay, no worries. Well, I'll keep in touch and check in a few months. And then a month later, you jump on and you can see it's listed with the opposition. So I'm sure we've all had, you know, different variations of this circumstance. The key information, I guess, out of this is that, well, there's a couple of things. Firstly, a lot of the time they don't know when they're coming to market. And it could be, we'll jump into this a lot more as well, but it could be that they're looking for a property to buy and they haven't found the right one yet, which is what the story was with this client. But let's have a look at 3 reasons why this doesn't work. So firstly, your dialogue's not genuine. You stink of commission breath. I love this. So when we're calling up and asking, for example, how's the house or how's the search going? What does a client get from that question? To me, they get, are you ready to sell yet? And it's super, it's cheesy. And it's, like I say, it stinks of commission breath. They can see straight through it. They know exactly what you're trying to get out of it. It's not relationship building whatsoever. There's been no work done before. They're going, oh yeah, I remember I met him and yeah, I did say 6 months and now they're calling, you know, ready to list it 6 months down the track. So, I mean, when we're asking how's the house, what are they going to say? They're going to say, oh, it's sad, it's been raining. No, they know exactly what you're going for with that question. So let's not, you know, kid ourselves and think they're seeing through it, because they're not. So I really want us to remove that how's the house question out of our dialogue altogether. We can ask things like, hey, how's the kitchen renovation going? Do you need any tradespeople for that? Or, you know, you mentioned you were getting the lawns done, the lawns re-turfed. So how'd you go with the rain? Did that end up happening? Or, you know, we can ask questions to try and find out how things are progressing and to make conversation with them. But those are totally in line with our next point, which is the relationship. So the next reason why that line of conversation, just asking, how's the house, essentially, are you ready yet, is that we haven't even built the relationship yet. We met them once and now we're calling, asking for the business. So you're not standing out at all. We all look exactly the same then. We're showing up in the suit, the, you know, nice car, we've got all the shiny brochures, but so does everyone else. With the relationship and with the effort put into that relationship before the call, or as part of the call, we're building it and we're putting ourselves ahead of the opposition because they know us, they're trusting us, we're showing them that we're the best choice. So it's really, really important to put the work in. And the other reason is that doing calls like that turns you off making more calls because the response you get from the client is so rubbish. So imagine how good you'd feel about calls if your calls were being appreciated, valued by the client, if you knew you were adding value to them, you had a reason to call them every time that you called or communicated, might be an SMS, and you feel like you're actually being helpful to them, then you would feel so much better about making the call next time. So rather than feeling like we're harassing them, not knowing what we're going to say, we're going to put a plan in place, make sure we have a plan so that we're fail-safing ourselves. And then it's not going to turn you off making the phone call. So before we go over how to skillfully nurture the pipe, let's start at the start. How to grow your pipeline. So guys, a lot of agents that I meet haven't built a pipeline, or they have, but they're storing it up here in their heads. And it's just not effective. So let's have a look at how we can build a pipeline in different places that we might come across pipeline clients. So number 1 on here, database calls. So as you're making your calls to your database, you're going to come across people that are thinking of selling. On average, within our business, we come across clients 9 months before they're ready to come to market. Like I say, on average. So that's going to vary for different marketplaces and in different markets. But on average, it's 9 months. So that shows us that we're in that database call, we're identifying pipeline clients early. We're identifying them before they're identifying themselves through different digital, ways they might send through an inquiry, but we're getting in ahead of that a lot of the time. Also through things like when they're coming to the open homes. So database calls are a really important place to start when you want to build your pipeline. And obviously every single database call that you're making as well is really adding to that relationship that you're having with the client. So that's already setting the, first ground layer of your relationship. And every subsequent call is adding on to that. And then our pipeline communication plan is just further cementing it. Another way to grow your pipeline is with buyers. Now, this could be the number one way to find pipeline people. So clients to add within your pipeline. So obviously you're meeting people at your open for inspections that need to sell a property to buy their next property. That's a pipeline client. People that send through inquiries via realestate.com, Domain, or your other listing websites. You can do more with them than just reply about the house that they're inquiring on. We can find out what they're doing. You just have to make a little bit more effort, give them a phone call if you can, obviously if they give you the info, and find out what are they doing. Add them to the pipeline. The same with calls, obviously. Your magic 50s. So when you do list a property, your magic 50s are such a good opportunity, or magic 100s, just listed, just sold, whatever you want to call them, such a good opportunity to find out what the neighbors are doing. And if we have a look at history, I'm sure, and I know this is definitely the case in markets that I've worked in and even around, my own home, you see one listing come up in a street and then a few months later, another one comes up in the same street because that vendor has seen the result that property's achieved. They think, I've been thinking about it for a while now, I'm going to jump on the bandwagon as well. So those magic 50s are a really great way of finding your future sellers. Your social media ads, any other paid sort of online marketing, your direct marketing, so your letterbox drops, direct letters to people, past appraisals, past clients. Guys, past clients is really, I really love to talk about this. I think that we've got in our head, and I've heard this time and time again, that the average time for resale is about 7 years in Australia. It's not true anymore. So that might have been true some time ago, but nowadays it's a lot shorter of a time frame. So for example, in Brisbane City Council area, the last time that I had a look at it, the average resale time was 2.9 years. So that means that people were holding, on average, in the Brisbane City Council LGA, they were only holding their properties for 2.9 years. Which means that our past clients are our very real, very soon future sellers in a lot of cases. Now, it's interesting to have a look and jump on, see if you can find that information about your own area, because it does vary, different areas, there's different property hold times, but regardless, past clients are your future sellers. So it's really important and it's a relationship you've already got. So easy. You can keep it so easily just by keeping in touch with them. Landlords. A lot of people that I speak to don't want to talk to landlords because they don't want to interfere with the property management relationship. Now, obviously with principal's permission, landlords need to be serviced too. They want to know what their property is worth just as well as everyone else does. It's just about not trying to say, we want to sell your property all the time when it's a current management within the business. We really need to treat landlords as though we're just here to give you a service. We're here to help you keep on top of what your property is doing, not push you to sell your property. Properties on the market for rent. This is a really good one. Again, investors, if they can get the right money for their property, they often will consider selling it. So that there could be a much shorter term pipeline opportunity to have a look at. Your personal relationships and community involvement as well. So who knows, your children's parent at the school might, be thinking about doing something. So anyhow, there's a bunch of different ideas. There's obviously so many more that you can grow your pipeline from, but that'll get you started, I'm sure. Even just database calls, you'll get so much out of the database calls in your buyer inquiry. So easy place to start, that's for sure. All right, let's have a look at a script. So when we're doing our database calls, trying to target pipeline growth. Now, keep in mind, this is a script that we use within our business and for our clients, but this isn't a script that you want to use repeatedly. You want to put it in rotation along with other scripts. because keeping in mind that every client you speak to within a database isn't thinking of selling. So if we're just calling them, trying to push them to come to market, they're going to get fed up with that quite quickly. But having this in the rotation and asking the question every now and then, there's nothing wrong with that. And you will identify a lot of pipeline from that communication as well. It'll give you short, medium, or longer term sellers, because when we ask the question, they're going to and ah and give us some information about their circumstance, what they're thinking of doing. So let's have a look at it. Hey, Jeff, I'm not looking to keep you long. Despite recent uncertainty, stock levels have remained low and demand has remained very strong. I know it's a forward question, but can I ask, with more than 23% growth in the area in the last 24 months, would you consider an offer on your property if it was at the right price? And then be quiet. Now, like I say, Jeff is going to let us know whether that's something that he is going to consider. As you can see from this type of script, it is forward, it is direct, but it's going to give us this forward and straight answer as well around what he's thinking. And he might say, yes, I am, but not for another, it won't be 12 or 24 months. It could be however long, or yes, actually I am in 9 months once I've retired, or whatever, or no, I'm quite happy where I am, I'm going out of the box. We've all heard that one before. So like I say, this is a great, and there's so many ways you can utilize this type of script. So another really great one is we've got leftover buyers. So, hey, we just sold this property. We've got 6 buyers left over that are looking to buy in the same area, in the same building, whatever the case is. Would you consider an offer at the right price? So there's lots of different ways that we can target this. And this information, this one here, I guess, is sort of directed around the current market. And obviously it's going to vary for areas that are experiencing different marketplaces right now. And it might not be something that you can use saying, remain very strong, but there's always a way we can talk about the market positively. And we should be, realistically, that's our job, is to give them, let them know that there's still great results able to be achieved if they do need or want to sell their property. So just think about how you can change it and edit it to give the same message, but be appropriate for your marketplace. All right, so once we have identified a pipeline client, I want to talk about the 3 key points that you must have to have success in your pipe communication. So anyone that is obviously thinking of selling within that 2-year time frame, the first thing we want to know is what time frame. The second thing is the problem, which I'll go into a bit more. And the third thing is the destination. So like I say, if you're wondering why we're adding people to pipe, even if they're not selling for 2 years, remember, timeframes change. The longer the client's in the pipe, the longer you have to build the relationship and ensure that you get the listing. All right, this info, so all of this here, before we jump into it, is ammunition. And that's what we want. We want ammunition for our next conversation. We want to plan for success for our future calls, and having these 3 key pieces of information is going to help us so much in our future pipeline communication. So let's jump into them. Let's start with time frame. So knowing when your client is thinking of selling is going to determine how often we communicate with the client. So if they're selling sooner than later, we need to communicate with them more. Consistency builds familiarity, and familiarity builds trust. It's one of my favorite things to say. I think it's been in my last 2 webinars as well, but it's the key to success. Consistency. Our goal is just to build trust. So I want you to take a minute and think about your most recent listings. Think back to the original conversations that you had with that client. Did they give you an indication of the time frame that they were thinking of selling within? Was it accurate as to when they actually came to market? Because I would hazard a guess that 99% of the time, the answer is no, it's not. And is it because they're lying to us? No, of course not. It's because they often don't know themselves what time frame they're looking at. So on top of that, there's lots of things that can change too. One way or another, they might be planning of doing it here, whatever comes along, and it's pushed out. Or they wanted to do it here and something pushes it to happen sooner, maybe a job change or something like that. So the time frame, it's important to find out when they're thinking so we can categorize them correctly, but we've got to keep in mind that that time frame can change as well. So when we're looking at time frame, there's 2 key reasons that we want to look at it. Like I say, to tailor the communication And so we know if there's a chance that they could sell sooner than we think. Now we'll jump into that more around the time frame, because often what happens with that, when we're asking the question around when are they thinking of selling, they actually give us the answer to the next question, which is, why can't you sell now? So this is our number 2, the problem. Now, the reason that we want to know the problem, and this is super, super important, is because the problem determines whether their time frame is a set time frame or whether the time frame could change. So a question that I love asking to find out whether it's a set time frame or a flexible time frame is, if I had a buyer today that was looking for a home like yours, could I show them your place or should I sell them something else? So the response that we get to a question like this is going to tell us whether their time frame is flexible or set. And they could answer something like this. They might say, oh, no, not quite yet. We haven't found a place to buy yet. So straight away, we know that their time frame is flexible, and that the problem that the reason why they're not selling is because they haven't found a property to buy yet. The risk with this type of pipeline client is that as soon as they find something that is of interest to them, they're going to be ready to come to market, and we don't know when that is. So this is anyone that's a buy before sell, their time frame, if you're using, I guess, my recommendation, is going to always be immediate seller, 0 to 3 months. So anyone that's buy before sell, unless there's something else playing into it, we're waiting for our daughter to finish school and then we need to buy before we sell, which leads us to the next part, which is the set time frame. So, oh no, not yet. We really can't sell until Pat retires in April. We'll be ready after that. So when there's a set event or a set reason for why they're not ready to come to market yet, that is a set time frame. So we can move forward with our communication plan confidently that that's not going to change, because that's a set time frame and a set event, whether it might be an interstate move or like I say, school finishing or things like that. Really important to find that out, because as you can see, it's going to impact the communication so much. If the time frame is set, we can put them in the category, which we'll get to our time frame categories, and we can be sure that it's staying there, so we can communicate to them as often as we do for those categories with confidence, build up that relationship, knowing that we've got that time frame. Flexible time frame, we need a love all over them regardless, because I'm sure you have had the same experience where they say to us, I'm not ready. No, we're 6-12 months away yet. We're looking, but it's just really big early stages. We're just beginning out the process. And then all of a sudden they've found the perfect time. It's their dream property. They can't believe it's on the market, and their place is listed with the agent that's got it for sale. Yeah, we've seen it all, haven't we? All right. The last one we're going to jump into is destination. Where are you going? Where are they moving to? Now, destination is juice for our future conversations. That's why we want it. It gives us so much to talk about moving forward. We're, again, just setting ourselves up for success with our communication. So if we find out they're moving out of area, we can offer them market reports for the area that they're moving to. So each month we could call them, utilize that market report for the other area, and giving them a market report for their own area at the same time, so they can keep on top of what's going on in both markets, have a really good idea of, what's selling, if it's moving, percentage of growth, all that kind of thing. And the only goal with that is providing information and helping them make their decision more easily when the time does come. So destination is all about setting yourself up for success with your future communication with the client. It also means, before I move on, it also means that if they're staying locally, you can show them your own properties. So that then becomes a opportunity for you, where you could go, hey, I know they want to stay locally. I know they're looking for this. I've got this property that is potentially coming to market in however long, or it's off market. I can send it through to them and service them that way as well. All right, how to categorize your pipeline. So the key way is by time frame. And it's super important to have your pipeline identified in this way. So obviously that's why it's super important to get that time frame out of the client so that we can use that information to categorize them into the right sort of time frame and look after them. So the timeframes that I suggest is your 0 to 3 months, 3 to 6, 6 to 12, and 12 months plus sellers. Now, once you've got your timeframes, you've got your clients broken up, you know when they're thinking of coming to market, the next question is, how often should I be speaking to them? So the biggest failure that I see in agents is not enough personalized communication to the pipeline. The number one priority in your job is pipeline. And I really believe that. I think it's, for a key salesperson, that you've got 2 jobs: look after your current vendors and find your next ones. And pipeline is all about that. So how often should we make contact with our pipe? Our 0 to 3 month pipe, we should be talking to them weekly. And that doesn't mean you have to ring them every week, because I know that feels overwhelming and spammy. It doesn't mean that, but it does mean we have to be communicating to them each week. So it could look like a phone call. It could look like a personalized SMS. And when I say personalized, bulk communication to pipeline is not on. 100% don't do it. Don't send them bulk emails unless they're also a buyer. You can send them your bulk listing emails, but don't send them anything else that's poxy and cheesy. You need to be treating these people really like you're building a relationship, and bulk emails is not the answer. Bulk SMS, sure, they can receive it, but that doesn't count as your communication. You're sending it to everyone. It's not your personalized communication with them. It doesn't mean you have to physically do it all. You can be clever with automation, but it needs to be coming across as a personalized message just for them. So it could be, I'll show you a SMS template shortly, but you might be texting with a just listed or just sold property. But it's going to say, hi Shontelle, this property is just listed. It's around the corner from you and it's got 4 beds just like yours does. Well, I'll keep an eye on it and let you know when it sells. Where it's an information giving process. You might door knock them once a month. So that's another point. That's, your weekly communication. You might send them a letter with all the sales that have happened in the suburb. Break it up, but once a week, these 0 to 3 month people need to be hearing from you. You might be sending them an invite to an open home of a property that's listed with a competitor, but it's similar to theirs. Don't be afraid of the competitor and of giving them they're seeing it anyway, and they're going to come across that person anyway. So you look like you're genuinely trying to help them by providing that information. Your 3 to 6 months, monthly call, door knock, text, email when relevant. So essentially we want one face-to-face or phone call communication, and then text, email when relevant. So if there is a property that's relevant to them, that's just listed, let them know about it. It's interesting to them. Tell them about it. But the minimum is once per month. I would definitely recommend more often than that for your 3 to 6, because again, timeframes changed with a competitor in 2 months' time because you thought that they were 4 months away. So treat them, like you really value them, like you really want to list it. Your 6 to 12 months, monthly or bi-monthly call, door knock, text, email when relevant. Same for your 12 months plus. We want to at least be in touch with the 12 months plus monthly. So again, you don't have to call them every single month. We don't want them to think you're harassing them. They've told you that they're 18 months away. You don't need to call them every month, but you can communicate with them personally every month, so that they know that you are trying to help them when the time comes. And it doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be, in a way that looks like you're trying to list the property tomorrow, because we know they're not listing. So trying to encourage, force, push, whatever you want, however you want to phrase it, them to come to market, or ask them, hey, yeah, you're ready yet? It just looks desperate, and no one wants that. So you need to make more contact than you think. Don't make excuses, just get it done. Next one, what should we talk about? All right, so I've run over a few of these already, but once you've got the client's timeframe, problem, destination, you are going to need to mix up your communication. So like I've said in the previous, how often should we make contact? There's lots of different ways that you can communicate to people, but having a list of different options of things you can talk about is so important, because you're fail-safing yourself. You're making sure you do not fail at your pipeline communication by going, I don't know what to talk to them about. What can I say? I spoke to them last week. I let them know about that sale. Nothing's listed. What am I going to talk to them about? There is always something to talk about. And listings and sales is always interesting to people when it's relevant to them. For example, a house is relevant to a homeowner. A unit's relevant to a unit owner. If it's a penthouse, don't send them the one better that's sold, in that backs onto the railway. Send them relevant information, not just everything, unless you might once a month send them literally everything, so that they're keeping on top of everything that's sold within the suburb. They get a good all-round view of it, but it must be with more relevant ones sent through as well. You could talk about buyers that are looking. So for someone that's closer to being ready to sell, you could say, hey, I know you're not quite ready yet. You said you're a month away. However, I've got a buyer that's looking for exactly what you've got. They missed out on a property at the one at Smith Street that I told you about last week. Can I bring them through? You never know. You might be able to get that one done sooner than you think. Like I say, the suburb sales summary, market report. So that, like I mentioned previously, offer them the market report for their own suburb and also for where they're looking to buy. If they're staying in the same area, great. If they're moving somewhere else, send them that one as well. National market update. So there's so many reports that you can send through to them that have got interesting stats around what the market's doing nationally, particularly in times like what we're having at the moment, where it is such I guess there's uncertainty around. We've got the interest rates changing. It's interesting for people. So send them that information as well. Invites to open homes and auctions. Again, it doesn't have to be your own. If you think it's relevant to them, let them know about it. Telling them the weekend's open home numbers. So if you've got a property on the market that's similar to their property, and they're thinking of coming to market in the next short term, it's interesting to them how many buyers you've had through. Hey, Jane, just wanted to let you know, we just had Smith Street open and we had 24 people through, so we're still getting really strong numbers at open homes. Just wanted to update you about that. Have a great weekend. Same thing for number of inquiries for the property or for the suburb. So you can get that from realestate.com. Domain's probably got it as well, where you can access and go, there were 3,000 buyers looking in the suburb last month. So there's still really strong numbers of people looking. It's down 10% from last year. However, the prices overall are still up, however much, 7%, whatever it is. So like I say, our message can always be positive, and definitely should be. Leftover bidders, the list goes on. All right, so like I mentioned, I love SMS. SMS is such a great way of talking to the pipeline. It's not my number one tip. Do this. Jump on every morning what has listed. Have a look at what's listed and have a look at what's sold. This kind of quick update is so simple to send through to people, and all you have to do is have a quick glance at your pipe and go, who can I tell about this property? So hi Margaret, just a quick update for you. 123 Smith Street, around the corner from you, just came up for sale. It's going to auction on the 13th. It's a 4-bed, 3-bath on a similar block to yours. I'll keep an eye on it and let you know once it's sold. It'll be an interesting comparison to yours. Have a great week. Chat soon. This is easy, firstly, to do. It's easy for Margaret to check it whenever it's convenient for her. So otherwise she's going, oh my God, Shontelle's calling me again. She's such a stalker. If we do this, and then it gives us ammunition to call or email and follow up. Hey, just wanted to let you know Smith Street just sold. It went for 4 million. It was amazing. It's really great comparison for yours, and there were a heap of leftover buyers. So, anyhow, awesome way of communicating the pipe. And it's a really great way of, taking the edge off and making you feel like you don't have to be calling them every time. it's interesting to them when it's relevant, make sure it's relevant. All right. Tips for success. So really important, tracking your pipeline. So we want to plan for growth. But I guess before we jump into that, actually, lots of agents that we work with have a pipeline, like I mentioned before, and they keep it on their phones, in their heads, you know, in their diary, wherever. But tracking your pipeline means that so many things, but it means that you can be efficient at it. You can be better at it. So planning for growth, the key with planning for growth is that you're not going to remember the detail of every communication or every piece of information when you've just got it in your head, or you've just got the list in your phone, but you've got no notes on it. Planning for growth means when your pipeline is 100 or 200 clients, depending on your database size and your team, it means when you call them, you can be authentic, genuine, or come across that way because you've got notes about your previous conversation. It means someone else could make the call if they needed to. Hey, last time you spoke with Shontelle, she mentioned that you're going on holidays to Hawaii. How was it? All of that information is building on the relationship. It's straight away building rapport with clients. And it helps if there's someone, like I say, if someone else needs to make the call, but also when you're flat out and you can't remember what conversation you had with them last time, it's going to really help you make the call as well. So put a process in place now so that you're not losing money and time later down the track. All of these habits are helping you succeed later. So make your notes, like I say, categorize your pipeline. That way, it's so important to categorize it, however you do it. And I'll show you one example shortly, but however you track it physically in terms of, you know, is it in the CRM? Is it in an Excel spreadsheet? Is it on a whiteboard? Is it in whatever works for you? I've seen people have it in manila folders. It would be my recommendation, but whatever works. But like I say, you want to be able to categorize it into your timeframes. You want to make notes that you can easily reference. Yeah, so I would definitely recommend the CRM was ideal, but also I've seen a CSV spreadsheet work really well as well. Make it visual. So printing it off, like I say, if you've got it in a CSV or in your CRM, you can print it off. You can have it with you. You can cross it off as you call. You can make a note as if you're out and about. Come back to the office, put it into the CRM so that next time you jump in, you can see that previous note. And that way, I love a whiteboard. I'm going to show you guys in a whiteboard example. Whiteboard, if it was me, I'd have a whiteboard so it's visual. You can see it. You can walk into the office. If you've got a team, they can see it. They know what's been done. You can cross it off with once it's done for the month. You can have meetings around it. Book a pipeline meeting with the team. Hey guys, I've done this one, this one, this one, this one. I want you to do this one, this one, this one. You know, really, really important, but then having it in the CRM with all the notes history, so that you've got both of those. You can, like I say, print it off while you're out and about, make a call while you're waiting for a buyer to show up, whatever the case is. All right. And before I get on to the next one, I'll just check if I've got any other notes here. Yeah, the pipeline meeting is really great. And the key, and I've gone on and on about this, but the key is be relevant and consistent with your information, with what you're communicating to them. Ask yourself, how can I genuinely add value to this client? What's going to help them make the decision easier when they are ready? All right. Whiteboard, beautiful, beautiful whiteboard drawing. So I'll explain this whiteboard for our podcast listeners, but I would recommend jumping on and having a look at the show notes. So I've just quickly drawn this whiteboard up to give you guys an idea of a way that I think works really effectively. So if you break your whiteboard up into these sections, so this month, this is your stock that's coming to market this month. You know it's coming to market, you know it's listing with you. You might have the forms already signed for it. Your 0 to 3 month pipe. So you've got your list of properties here. I would put the number of weeks in the month, whether there's 4 or 5 weeks, in check boxes beside it, or you could just literally do ticks beside each address, and every single week when you've communicated to it, you tick it off. And then your 3 to 6 and 6 months plus, sorry, 3 to 6, 6 to 12, and 12 plus, you write the addresses on and cross them off once you've communicated to them that month. If you want to, you can put more information. Obviously, this whiteboard could be a lot bigger, and I'd recommend getting a really good one for your guys' offices. And that way you can write all the addresses up there and cross them off. And then when you're sitting there, you're in week 2, you know what's left to call. You know who you're behind on. You know whether you're up to date. You know whether the team's up to date, if they have responsibilities over the pipeline as well. So having it visual is really, it's awesome. It just makes it so much easier. Also, hopefully you've got neat writing, because that's a hideous picture. All right. Measuring, tracking your managed. So know your numbers, know your weaknesses. Don't wait until you're 5, 10, 15 years into your career and have hundreds, thousands, millions of dollars of lost opportunity. Knowing your business, knowing your numbers, and knowing what's happening with your pipeline is so, so important. So give your business respect by knowing your numbers. Knowing if you're getting in the door, but you're losing it at the listing table, it might be hard to swallow, but at least it's letting you know that you need to work on your presentation skills. Adding it into your pipeline and then not getting in the door is telling you that your pipeline communication is not nailed. Tracking everything, and you can go into so much more detail around that. You can audit your pipeline. How many calls did this one get? If it lists with another agent, how many calls did this get in the last 3 months? What else did they get? Have I got notes? Did I get face-to-face with them? Did I do a soft appraisal well before they were ready? You know, there's so many ways that we can look at how can we better this and what are the key things we need to tick off to ensure that we're getting the listing. But if you know your numbers, you know your weaknesses, and then you can fix them and you can kick butt. All right, you guys. So we've covered today what a pipeline is, how do we nurture it, how to plan your communication. 3 points we need to know from every pipeline client, some key dialogue to help with the phone calls, a bunch of other ideas to speak about with your pipeline as well, the importance of knowing your numbers. Before we jump off, I'll just check, just remember if anyone's got any questions, chuck them up there now. It's so obvious. That's why I love it. If you list consistently, you sell consistently, and then you have a much better life as a real estate agent. It's so true. All right, you guys, thank you so much for jumping on today. Like I say, I'm Shontelle. This is how you can get onto me if you want to. I love talking about pipeline. So if anyone does want to deep dive and have a chat about pipeline anymore, yeah, please get in touch anytime. Otherwise, I'll jump off and let you guys go. But thanks again so much for jumping on today, and I'll see you on the next one.